what odds do you think we have of entering recession here, and how bad do you think it could get?
I think in Europe it's 100%, and I think how bad it gets depends on how much they antagonize Putin. I think if he turns off the gas, it's going to be really, really bad, and it's not going to necessarily be deflationary.
I don't know what word comes after depression, but that's where you go when they shut the energy off.
Yeah, and that's, people seem to forget that. Listen, if they shut the energy off, it's not like people show up and go to work and do nothing in those types of situations. They don't. They go and they find food for their families. They, it's a much broader systemic breakdown. That's right. Yeah. You start tearing apart the furniture for warmth. Exactly. So there's a non-linearity to it that Europe has that's unique relative to the U.S. in that we're okay on that. Now, certain parts of the U.S. would have to compete with Europe on international gas markets, so that could be really fun for the east coast of the U.S. in the winter, having to spend, gas is $9 today, natural gas $9 today, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 for gas. So to answer the question, I think it's 100% in Europe. I think they're already in one. I think in the U.S. it's probably 99%, and that's just to give myself a little bit of an out.
A little wiggle room.
Little wiggle. And I think it's heavily dependent on, and now again, on a real basis, I think the odds are 100% or 90%, 99%. On a nominal basis, that depends on the policymakers, to your point. If they revert, I think we're going to be in a recession on a real basis, but nominal GDP, I think, will surge because I think inflation will resume and set new highs for this cycle. So how bad will it be? Here too, I think it's what do the policymakers do? If they stand aside nominally, it's going to be really bad because the debt's so high. And I think, as I noted before, the supply, we've never gone into a recession with a starting point of debt to GDP in the U.S. at 122% and deficits, lows for the cycle at 6%. Those have been previous highs, right? At the end of the recession, they're 6, not the beginning of the recession. So the point is that there's going to be a supply-demand dynamic in treasuries we've never seen before, which is to say, I think in the U.S. recession, even a modest one, I think you're going to see yields up unless the Fed is much more aggressive with QE. And so that's why I say it depends on how the policymakers react, because you go into a recession and yields start going up in a recession, that just is a debt spiral vortex until rates up, yields, we get rates up, receipts down, dollar up, rates up, yields down, or receipts down until either the system collapses or the Fed steps in and does something like they did in 2020 to 2021. So I think it's likely to be, I think it's high risk of recession. I think it's likely to be modest because I think the authorities are going to be so scared to death of that ladder debt spiral that they are going to jump in as soon as they can and basically do this cycle's version of whatever it takes in the U.S., in the EU. So that's how I'd answer it. I think we're going to have one, and I think the severity of it depends on the policymakers.
Okay, Luke, good answer. I want to just get your reaction to something that Bill Fleckenstein said last time I interviewed him, where he thought that there was a potential that if the Fed does pivot in the way in which you think they will, that may be the moment in which it loses the bond market, where basically the bond market says, all right, you've just proven that you can't get inflation under control. And therefore, we want to now be compensated more for the risk that you don't know what you're doing and you're powerless to stop this. And that rates may actually go up, even though the Fed is out there, stimulating. And I guess you can maybe have a immovable object versus unstoppable force argument over which is going to be stronger, the Fed's unlimited checkbook or the bond vigilantes. Certainly the past couple of decades have showed maybe the pocketbook actually is more powerful. But I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on that potential thesis?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's right. I think this is the cycle where the Fed, I think I wrote last week, the Fed's only choice left is how they want to lose their credibility by taking the market into a recession and losing the bond market that way, where I think they're going to see rates rise because there's a balance of payments problem in the United States, which is very problematic, where there's not enough buyers for treasuries because everyone's selling treasuries to get dollars because there's so much offshore dollar debt outstanding, or they can lose it by printing into an elevated inflation, and yields rise, but real rates decline. And I think that's really it. I don't think, and that's probably so far as Powell, I'd resign. I don't think there's a way. There may be a brief period of time where it can look like they reestablish their credibility, but it's going to be brief, right? It's going to be the first part of a recession where there's this reflexive institutional move toward, deflation, recession by treasuries. So far, by the way, it hasn't happened,
right?
For the first time ever. But you may actually get, the 10-year treasury yield down a bit for a month or two, maybe even 3 months. But very quickly, that recession is going to create this supply-demand dynamic that is going to necessitate the Fed coming back in. So there's really, like, to me, when I look at things like instruments like the TLT, long dated treasury ETF, right, where price goes up when yields go down and vice versa, the investment case for it is increasingly becoming like a 2 to 3 month window where deflation picks up, the start of a recession, and before the Fed has come in with QE. That's really it, because other than that, they need significantly negative real rates because the debt levels are so high, the deficit levels are so high, and they're so structural. So I think the Fed's really in a situation where it's, how do you want to lose your credibility? Not, do you want to keep your credibility or not lose your credibility? Or do you want to keep the bond market or not lose, not keep your, lose the bond market or keep the bond market? They're going to lose the bond market.
How do you want to lose the bond market?
How do you want to lose the bond market? Now, they can make a decision where they're going to say, okay, we're going to let the economy crash, and you're going to have all the equities plow into bonds, and you'll get yields down for like a month or two. And then everyone's going to go, oh God, Luke was right. Equities were a key marginal driver to consumption, and consumption is 2/3 of GDP, which means tax receipts are down 40%, and tax receipts down 40% with consumption going to, down a bunch is, oh God, maybe it's not 30%, right? There's $1.2 trillion, $1.5 trillion, boom. Who's going to, you can't cover the, you can't cover the interest-like obligations, not even close. So do they default on those treasuries? Do they stand aside while that happens? Because if they do, rates are going to have to rise to spur that demand. So it literally is like there's this 1 to 2 month window where they think they can still scare equities and foreigners into treasuries, despite the fact that the evidence is showing otherwise. I mean, again, the TIC report the other day, Chinese and the Japanese, two biggest creditors, are selling because they have to. The dollar's too strong.
If you enjoyed this video clip, click here to watch another one you should like.